You're welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today we'll be making this lovely Ankara blouse. Stay with me, let's do this. Let's start with getting our highest circumference in the blouse. We're working with a bust of 36, waist of 29, and a hip of 41, and our blouse length is going to be 23. So our highest circumference between 36, 29, and 41 is 41. So we're going to use 41 to get the base of our clothes, of our blouse. So 41 divided by 4 is 41 divided by 4 is 4.25, is 10.25. So this is 10.25. We're going to add our allowance, which is 2-inch allowance for the zip. So this is 10.25. 2-inch allowance for the zip will be this and this. Okay, that's 12.25. So plus 1.5-inch allowance for the same. So that's 13.5. So I'm going to fold from 13.5 while we start measurement. Please look out for the wrong side and the right side of your fabric. That's why we're doing freehand. So you look out for the wrong side and the right side. This is the right side of my fabric. So I'm going to hide it in and do all the chalk cutting on the wrong side. I'm going to hide the right side of my fabric in. This is the right side of my fabric. I'll hide it in while I do all the drafts with my chalk on the wrong side. So here we have our fold for our back. Don't mind me, I'm always very conservative when I have to cut with fabric, okay? So just follow through. Hmm? I'm going to get the length. We're working with the length. I mentioned that we're working with the length of 23. So I'm going to get my length of 23, which is here. 23. And of course, because we'll be adding lining to this piece, I'll have to add 1-inch allowance for my seam, for my hem allowance, which I'll fold in with my lining. So this is 1-inch allowance. So I'm going to rule from 24. So this will be the upper side, and then this will be my hip area. So let's start with our shoulder draft. My shoulder will be, my shoulder is shoulder measurement. Shoulder measurement is 15. So that's 7. Oh, before that, sorry, we have to take our zip allowance, which is 2-inch. So we'll rule a straight line down, showing that that is our zip allowance. Then from the zip allowance, we're going to put our tape here and get our shoulder, which is 7.5. 7.5. On 7.5, we're coming down with 1 inch for our shoulder slope, and then my armhole depth, I'll be using 8 for a bust of 36. I'll be using 8. Then on the part where I mark my armhole depth, I'm just going to measure my bust straight. Okay, you can as well. This is not I'm not drafting on paper, but if you're drafting on paper, you can as well rule this line straight up and rule your waistline, and also as well rule your hip line. But since I'm drafting on my fabric, since it's a freehand cutting, I don't want to run everywhere with chalks. Okay, so I don't want my work to look so funny. I don't want my fabric to look so funny to the extent that I have to wash it. Yes, this is the back of the fabric, but sometimes if the fabric you're using is quite light, there's a probability that it could still show at the front of the fabric. So that's why I'm not going to rule too many lines, okay? And some chalks are very powerful nowadays. If you use them to sew, they hardly come off. Okay, so I'm going to, this is my armhole depth. So on this armhole depth, let me just mark it so you'll be, this is my armhole depth. Let's get our waistline. Our waistline is 17, okay? So, but because this is the back and I'm doing a freehand draft, I'm going to do 16 and a half. So this is my waistline, and then this will be my hip line. So on this part, for my neck measurement, I'm going to use, since I'm doing a Queen Anne neckline, I want to have a very high neck at the back so that my Queen Anne neckline can rest properly on my shoulder. So I'm just going to take 2.5 here. I'm not going to take up to 3. I'm just going to take 2.5 here. Okay. And then this is my shoulder slope. So I'll connect that 2.5 to my shoulder slope, which is 1 inch. Okay. So this is what I have. And then on this line, I'm going to put my tape straight on this line which is my armhole line. I'm going to put my tape straight and get my bust measurement. I'm working with the bust of 36, so my bust measurement is going to be 9. Okay, 9 inch, and my 2 inch seam allowance or 1.5 inch seam allowance. So I'm using 1.5. So this is it. I'll use my curve and get my back. Okay, are we following? So the next thing we're going to do now, we're going to take. Okay, so yes, we've done that. We've taken our half length. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to come on the half length line and take our waist measurement. Our waist measurement is 29. I'm working with a waist of 29, so I'm just going to come and say 29 divided by 4. 29 divided by 4 is 7.75. So we're taking 7.75 here. Sorry, 29 divided by 4 is 7.25. So we're going to take 7.25 here, add extra 1 inch for our dart allowance, and then add a 1.5 inch. Okay. So then on the hip part, I'm just going to take my hip measurement and add my 1.5 inch seam allowance. So my hip measurement is 41. 41 divided by 4 will give us 10.25. So this is 10.25, and then of course my allowance 1.5 inch. So after doing this, I'm just going to connect these dots together, and then at my back depth of the neck I'm going to be using, I'll just use 1.5 because I want it to be quite high. So I'll be using 1.5. Straight down here. I'm going to cut. Someone will say I'm not drawing my darts. Yes, I'm not drawing my darts because I'm going to line it. So after lining my dress, you can see that my dart allowance is already in place. So after lining my dress with my lining, I'm going to draw my darts. So if I draw my dart now, I'm going to cover it with the lining. So there's no point. So after lining my dress, I'm going to draw my darts. So now this is the back of our piece. I'm just going to fold this zip allowance. I'm going to fold it in while I'll use this to cut my front. So you can see the way I folded it in. So I'll use this to cut my front. Remember I said I'm very conservative with fabric, so please pardon me, but I'm already used to it. So let's fold the front of our fabric, looking out for the right and the wrong side. So this is the right side. I'm hiding it inside, and I'm using it to cut the front.
Please, if you've not subscribed to the YouTube channel, you can do so by clicking on the subscribe button. Also, don't forget to turn on post notification. Thank
So
you.
let's proceed to cutting our front. This is a very simple blouse that anybody can sew. Anyone at all, anybody can sew. Anybody can sew. My method is not so complex, so anybody can sew, and you can be rest assured of your fittings. So far, you did your that correctly. Okay, so we're just going to draw this here. I'm using my back. This is my back, my back piece. I place it in the front, and I'm using it to trace. I'm using my chalk to just trace out what I have at the back. Okay, so after doing that, we'll just take this out. So this is what we have for our front, right? So now let's draw our neckline. Our neckline is a Queen Anne neckline. And remember, I said this is not a bustier, but you can as well wear it without bra if you want, because I'm going to be padding it with layers and layers of hairstay. So let's continue the business. So I'm doing a Queen Anne neckline. So I'm just going to come down here by I'm going to come. I don't want to go down too much, so I'm going to come down here by 8.5, and then I'm going to go in. First off, before I go in, I have to get my waistline. This is my waistline. This is my waistline, and on my waistline, I have to get my point where my dart is going to be situated. So I'm going to be using a nipple to nipple of 4 for a bust of 36, which is fair enough. Okay, so I'll be using a nipple to nipple of 4, and then on this part, just going to draw my dart line. Remember, I didn't draw that line at the back, yes, but at the front here, I have to draw my dart line. Why? Because it's going to help me as a guide to cut my neckline. So now I have this. I'm just going to go here, come here from this part. I went in for my depth, neck depth by 8.5. So going in, I'm going to go in by 3.5 for my neck depth. You can go in on this same length, on this 8.5, but we won't cut straight. We're doing queen and so we want it to come up. So we're going to go back to where our neck is starting from. Remember that the 8.5 I took is from the center line of our neck. So I'm going to come to this part where the neck area, the neck and shoulder point where my neckline is going to end. I'm going to come there and get the depth of where I want my neckline to stop. So I want it to stop at 6, yeah, 6. So now I'm going to do a curve that connects from this place to this place, okay, and then I'm going to go back up just like this. Hmm? Remember, we're doing a queen and neckline, so I'm going to, this is 3.5 here. I'm going to connect it to my shoulder. Remember our shoulder, our neck, sorry, not yes, shoulder, but remember the neck width we are using is 2.5 and not 3. Okay, so I'm just going to connect it back here like this. Okay, we're not done. So we have this now in place. We have this in place. Now let's draw our dart. It's important to draw our dart at this back part because our boss is going to be there. So we have to draw our dart and cut it out. Okay. So we're coming on the waistline. First off, before we come on the waistline, we have to get our nipple to nipple point. Our sorry, shoulder to nipple point. Her shoulder to nipple is 11, and her under bust is 14. So I'm just going to mark this here. Hmm? I'm going to mark this here. So on this part now, the reason why we took our nipple to nipple is because we want our dart to protrude on this part. We don't want a dart that is going to hold our breast down. No, we want our dart that is a dart that is going to protrude on this part. So I'm trying to make you understand so that you follow what I'm doing. So on this part now, remember we took here by 3.5, while our nipple to nipple line, which is our dart line, is 4. So that means from here to here we have half an inch. We're going to connect that half an inch to our breast point like this, and then we take another half an inch upwards like this. So we've taken 1 inch from this part now. So we're going to repeat the same process here. Here, that's on the waist side, on the waistline. So I'm going to take, on the waistline now, I'm going to take 2 centimeter, not half an inch. Or I know I added half an inch. I know I added 1 inch that allowance, yes. But it's still safe to take 2.5 if you want a very good fitting. Remember, we're not going to, we don't want to wear it with, we want it to fit very properly on the body. So we just take 2 centimeter on the left side of the nipple to nipple line and 2 centimeter on the right side. And then we're going to connect this 2 centimeter on a straight through like this to our bust point. Mm. Then after doing that, we're going to blend it back to our blouse. Blend it back to our blouse. We're going to blend it back to our hip line. Blend it back. Like. So yes, I'm going to be cutting this part out. I'm going to be cutting this part out. So this is what we have. Okay. So on this part now, our you can see that this part. Okay, let me cut it so you understand better. So I'm just going to cut it like this. So because of these adjustments and this data that we're going to cut now, it's important for you to add just little by the side of your dress from this shoulder part. Now you can add half an inch round everywhere. Just add half an inch everywhere. Why? Because we are cutting through our dart. Remember, this base we use is the back we use to achieve this front. So because we are cutting through the dart, we're not just sewing it, we're cutting through that and we're going to sew it back. We have to add half an inch here. Okay. So once you're done with that, And go ahead and cut. I'm excited to see the results of this dress, guys. I hope you're excited as well. This is the simplest blouse you ever sew. Okay, so we have this, and we're just going to cut through this. That open it. Okay. Now there's still one more that to cut, and we're going to cut it to. So we can see that the only place that is actually protruded right now is our bust point. So we're going to sew this like this, while this will blend with this, okay, and then this like this, okay. Are you feeling this result? I can't wait. So this is what we have. Let me open it so you can see it better. So this is what we have. So we're going to take this right now and go and iron it with our hairstay. Iron it with your hairstay, your paper stay, or whatever you want to use to iron it with. But do a very, very nice, beautiful ironing on it. So let's take it to where we're going to sew. So cut your lining for it as well. We're going to cut lining for the front as well as lining for the back. Okay. Iron your paper stay. I prefer to iron paper stay. Iron paper stay on your lining and iron hair stay on your fabric. And on the bust area, we're not padding, we're not going to put any breast pad per se. We're not going to use any what they call it here is breast pad per se. But you're going to iron it with layers and layers of hair stay. Okay. And on your lining, you can as well iron the lining with layers of gum stay. Remember, on the bust area on the fabric, layers of hairstay, while on the bust area of the lining, layers of gum stay. Okay, let's get down to work.
Thank you for watching, guys. Join us in the part 2 where I'll be showing you the sewing process of how we got this result. Bye guys, see you soon.